And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Oh, yeah, friends. And good evening to you. Things are getting crazy again. When we do the live show, it gets a little nutty, and time really did move quickly. This is Amateur Radio Amplified on 100 Watts and a Wire. It's Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel. Whether you're an experienced ham radio operator or just getting started, this podcast was created to mentor and entertain. Let's stick on that for a second. Well, we want to provide a community for a bunch of enthusiasts around the world. Episode number 401, welcome to it. You can tune in every Sunday, 6 o'clock Central, for the live recording of the show. Steve, W7UDI, is here. And Scotty, KC3BXN, we're all back in the saddle again. Hello, fellas. What's happening?
Woo! We are back.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a couple of minutes.
It's been a minute, and everybody's back, and it's a good deal. Hopefully, we're going out and we're live. And so, if you've been following along the audio podcast, there have been a couple in between the last one Scotty and I did, which that's been almost 3 weeks or a month ago. And so sometimes life just doesn't leave you alone. That's the thing. And a bit of unless you've been following, and you may not, I don't know who catches up with whatever, but just for the fellas' sake, Easter Sunday, right, had a start on a just let me explain kind of thing. Easter Sunday, a friend of mine in California has a stroke, right? Guy isn't even 50 years old. Oh, terrible news. And I, quickly brushed it on the show last week or whatever it was. But Wednesday, this brother dies. A friend of mine dies 3 days after having a stroke. And I got to say, it was a lot of like, I think the older you get, and I'm not trying to be a bummer, but we're a community here and we come together and we talk about real stuff. That's all it is. But I think the older we get, fellas, our circle of friends starts to get smaller and smaller, because we're getting older. And it hit me like, the loss, he was a friend, the guy I knew, met probably in 2007. We worked on a project together. And just a good dude, the nicest guy. And one of those things that end up testing, like, not just like faith, but just like, man, how does something like this happen to a guy that's this nice, so good? Like, there's so many assholes that you could just strike them down. Like, I could point you out a couple. That one over there, yeah, it was a good one. That was good, though. You did it. Like, this guy is, I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, this one is not, it was not a good one. And so it kind of gets you kind of in touch with what's going on with you, how much time you're spending with the family, how much time you spend at work, what's it all worth? All these things are kind of swirling over me. And I did a show, just a solo show without the fellas, and I kind of talked about it, but we didn't really get into it. But it was one of those weeks last week where you're just like, wow, man, left behind a young kid, wife, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, here we are today. I'm feeling better about it. It's one of those bummer kind of situations, but it's good to get back with the fellas and laugh. Steve, pick it up like that because I know firsthand, and I don't want to take us down a path of bumming out, but the older that we go, the more days we have, we got less in front of us than we do behind us. Any thoughts on that, Steve?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly how you're feeling because I had the same thing. A really close friend of mine, Jim, W7DTS, during the middle of the pandemic, had the same thing. He suffered a stroke, and a few days later, he passed. And the unfortunate part was his wife couldn't be with him those last few moments because the pandemic and all the BS that went along with that as far as access into the hospital. So it's, to this day, I still miss the guy, and we've had a lot of fun, but like your friend in California, one of the good ones, and you're like going, holy smokes. But yeah, we reflect on it and continue on and move on, and then it just makes the friends that you have and the people around you and your family that much more special. And so it's like, no, I know the feeling, brother.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I don't mean to start off on a bummer note, but last week was one of those ones. I guess it was last week now. Maybe it's been a little bit more than a week. But it's one of those things. It's just one of those things. It is the intersection of life and ham radio. And yeah, it messed me up for a little bit because I start to think about myself, and it's like, how much time are you spending with the right people and doing the right things and having the fun? And what are you chasing? Are you doing what's fulfilling? All this kind of stuff was what was going on in my mind because I can't change his situation. It's just his situation is just sad. But you hope to pull out the lesson in it. But anyway, thanks for indulging me in that. Scotty, what's going on where you are, friend?
Excited to be putting together my first remote station.
Wow.
To steer the conversation back into happy ham radio stuff.
Yeah. We want to be bummed out. Come on.
Acquired an FT 991, a non-A model, but that's just fine. And getting that was at my house sitting for my brother this weekend, and we started working on getting that installed. Got a dipole up in one of his lovely oak trees, and had a nice conversation with Don last night on 20 meters on that antenna and rig, and looking forward to setting that up at his place, and then setting it up as a remote station as well. So I'll be able to be sitting right here in my shack with my crappy antenna situation, and be able to remote in over there and have a much better antenna situation at my fingertips. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
I hope you'll tell us a little bit about that as you go, because frankly, I don't really understand the whole thing, how that works. I hear people do it, and I hear how it is done, but I don't know much about it. So we're going to follow
I've heard about it. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But
I think it's perfect. What do you think, Steve? He's going to go through the process.
I'm in the same boat. I want to start doing some of that, doing a little bit of remoting from the shack here into the house. And it's been one of those, is like, where do you start? And information on the web is a little limited, but I'm going to go down the same path as you, Scotty. So that's just...
we'll hit the
couple
trail
of blind
together,
old
Steve.
men trying to figure it out.
Right.
I think it's a great thing.
There's internet at both locations, and the radio that I'm using has can hook up to a computer over USB for audio and cat control. So can't be too complicated, I would think, but I don't know. We'll see. We're going to find out.
We will find out. You're going to have to explain it to us, because that's something I would like to try. When you're on vacations or you're away, I can imagine Steve having that powerhouse of a station that he works from at home, being able to tap into it somehow in Hawaii. I mean, how cool.
Like sipping his Mai Tais on the beach.
I mean, that's nuts. That's nuts.
One of these.
What is that? What do you got there?
Oh, just another Hawaiian beer.
Oh, Hawaiian. Okay. Hawaiian. So I've got to catch up. It's been a while since we've all been together, at least on the screen and on the microphone. For our listening audience, we appreciate you. If you're here as we do the live show and you have a question about anything, it can be anything, really, life or amateur radio. Put a Q in front of it, and we will try to put that in our queue for tonight as we go through. Mostly, we're going to catch up. We're going to talk about the tune-up a little bit. I'm excited about that. I did some work this weekend we can discuss. And thanks to Don, one of our net control operators, Sunday at 7 o'clock Central, you can hear Don, usually running on 20 meters, and you would hear him after this if you're still around. But he also had a friend who had a stroke, though, and thanks for sharing that. Luckily, his friend is still here with us, and hopefully we'll make a recovery from that. But thanks for sharing that story. I had a wacky weekend, and I played 38 Special for Steve because we made a contact, I think it was Friday night, and he was talking about my daughters because, it's we all have these kids, and they're growing up, and they just, next thing you turn around, they're taller than you, here they go. You're like, holy cow. And my 8-year-old was hanging out with me over the weekend as mom, and the big girl went off and did a couple things they need to do. So I set up an antenna. I went 34 feet, Steve, on a mast in the old wooden shed. And I'm like, let me just go ahead and do a pre-tune-up run through. Mm-hmm. Baby girl's like, hey, can we set that tent up? Now, I got this tent from Paul. This is a tent. It sleeps 10. It's not one of these little like shelters.
You have to shake the pickled nuts out of it before you set it up.
It's a freaking mansion. It's a freaking mansion. It's a two-room apartment. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll set this up. And we got on the air on Friday, and we're talking about, spending time with your kids, this quality time, just trying to carve out these moments because it's all moving so fast. I look at her sister and I'm like, okay, I got this 8-year-old now. We're gonna be doing some stuff with dear old dad. And it was cold, like it was 40 or 41 degrees with like a really cold wind. So we were sort of in and out in doing the camping. We stayed out as long as we could. Started to get a little too cold. We came back in, doing the thing. But I can tell, guys, that she's going to be the one that's like, do you got one of those sporks? Or what are they called? The fork and the spoon? Like, I want to make some cereal, Dad. What's going on? We're out here. And if anything else, it's a good run through for like camping. I don't know if any of our listening audience has gotten into camping, but just like radio and portable radio, you really have to edit what you're taking out there, like, and in the beginning I did not edit. So I had a truck full of crap, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't almost being portable. It was like, take everything with you. But I noticed that camping's going to become one of those things where I've got to like really think about everything that we could possibly need all the way through it. Steve, you shared a little bit of some of the camping exploits. I don't know if you tied in radio with your kids at all, but any thoughts on camping and spending time with children? This show's become very PG. Yeah. I don't like it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did our camping. We did a lot of it as the kids were younger, and they still talk about it to this day. And didn't really incorporate too much of the radio because they just they were a little bit younger, and they didn't have interest in it. They just wanted to get in the water. They wanted to go do stuff, and it was like, we're not playing radio. We're going out and messing around. And if we had the boat, my father-in-law's boat with us, then it was like, oh, we're in the boat and we're out on the lake and stuff like that. So it was a lot of memories, and taking the kids out. And to this day, they don't have the interest in the hobby, but that's okay. It's they found their way and they went along. So it was fun to talk about it Friday night and reminisce from me, just, thinking back of my kids and going out camping, and you and your daughter out in the Taj Mahal of tents, and and just having a good time. And did you guys get to do the s'mores, or that's for another day? Now, when she starts wanting, Mountain House, those freeze dried food and other stuff, the camping things, and then she's getting in deep.
The Mountain House chili mac.
She was very like, I think kids are very like, I don't know what the right word is, but flexible, I guess, is the first word that comes to mind, where resilient. She was cool. I kept bringing blankets out. One of the comforts of it, we're not so far from home that I can't go back and get her another blanket or whatever she would need, right? This is the programming in my mind to see if this starts to go into a real thing, I'm going to have to start thinking ahead like I do with my radio stuff.
She's going to have to start thinking ahead too. So as far as...
For sure.
Mm-hmm. So it's like blankets or this or that. And in your case, it'll be radios and everything else. But hopefully you'll be able to incorporate that and with your daughter.
She was totally like, I'm like, baby, it's kind of cold, because I'm being dad. I'm like, it's cold. And I could feel like it was cold to me, and I'm like, okay, but she's like, she's very practical minded. The tent is blocking the wind, got lots of blankets. I'm cool. I'm all right. I'm having a good time. She's in there by herself. I'm like, okay, we'll go a little bit more and I'll check back in with you, So we did like a mixture because we're close enough to the house. The whole thing, to be quite honest, I'm like, I want to make sure she can get to a bathroom, which we're close enough. There's a lot of leeway for, we don't have to lock into doing it like that because you're going to have to go to the bathroom. You might decide you want to sleep in your own bed. You may have forgotten a stuffed animal. Like all these things are going through, right? But we're playing it. We're holding on loosely, like Steve tells me, hold on loose. And so it was a combination of both because we didn't have to quite commit to being out somewhere where we couldn't turn around and go back, which was a nice kind of parlay into the experience. Turn up the next morning.
Your toes into the water there.
She was right back. Like the next morning, ready to go. Like because we didn't sleep out there, and it's a good thing. It was not really a cool night, and I think in my mind, I'm thinking if she does sleep out here, she's gonna be like, in the back of her mind, it's gonna be like, God, it was cold and windy and kind of crap. So when it's 64 degrees at night, she'd be like, I don't know, I had a rough experience. So we kind of we did a little of both. Dad did a little radio. I set up on a 34-foot mast and got the old wire Wyndham antenna cooking and listened around a little bit. I ended up cleaning up the shed, getting ready for the tune-up and field days not too far away. So that's what I was doing. But anyhow, that's it, man. Spend those times with your kids and the loss of my friend Tomo. He's from Japan. It just it was resonating with me. Like, do whatever she's cool with, whatever she wants to do, take that time, and she got it. So that was kind of it. And I was doing radio just off, listening mostly. We only have a couple minutes. We'll take a little break, but I got to find out what you guys have been up to. Steve, what in the world have you been up to in the time between Hawaii and today? So go minute by minute, if you will.
Oh man, I got spanked. I got back.
I feel you.
Way now.
Oh,
Nice.
The engineers just
Continue.
they ganged up on me and they said,
Did
"Oh
they use
yeah,
a spork?
what the heck?"
Did you get hit with a spork?
Nope. I got hit with a coconut.
Ooh.
It was just just pandemonium for like a couple of weeks after getting back. I mean, I was only gone for a week, and they just it was revenge of the engineers, and so we're just kind of getting back into normal here. Still waiting for spring to arrive. It's been kind of cool. We're supposed to get into the 70s by midweek coming up, so kind of looking forward to that. Slowly starting to do some outdoor projects and getting ready to do some antenna projects. And I got to climb the tower and take care of a couple of things. And the other day, I looked up on the up at the 160 antenna, and all tangled up in the 160 antenna was a tumbleweed up at 75 feet, and I'm like going, what?
Jeez, that sucks.
It's like,
Are you kidding?
and then by the time, and I was going to take the drone out and go fly it and take a picture of it, and then the wind came up and blew the tumbleweed away. So
Oh, good.
as fast as it came, it disappeared. But it was the funniest thing to have a tumbleweed up at 75, 80 feet in the air. So,
Damn.
so that's pretty much in a nutshell.
Do you think, here's a question. I wonder, Scotty, does he sound like he's on his microphone or a camera microphone?
Oh shit! Did that?
He
move
must-
around? Sorry about. Nope.
No, he sounds like he's on his mic.
Okay. All right. A little bit of
Dropped
editing
the
work.
S-bomb
That's
and-
okay. Somebody
fix it.
was listening.
I
We'll have
can
to
say-
send that out to Maryland to get that one cleaned up. That was pretty rough. I don't know where. I'm sure all of our faces were like,
Squeeze
Yeah.
one back in the old editor there.
anyway, welcome back. We're back. So the people listening later, you won't even know what happened. So I'm not even
all
sure exactly what happened and where we were. But it's a good time for us to move into This Week in Radio History. April 21st, 1921. It's going way back, but We had a lot of oatmeal back in those days. I think we called them the grits. We didn't always have butter to put on the grits. Steve and I sort of ate from the same bowl, if you will. Scotty was born a short time after. Then we had to share. We had sporks, and we had to share one bowl between 3 dudes. But also in Toledo, Ohio, they get a radio map. When Earl Frank fired up a 10-watt transmitter at the Navry Hotel, not the Browns Hotel, that was something later that came quite later. His station, which he called WTAL, would later become 1370 WSP. On April 25th, 1791, this was the year after Steve was born, so he didn't even have me or Scotty. But Samuel Morse was a neighbor. He was also born on this day. Were you born before Samuel Morse? That doesn't sound right. Also on April 25th, 1874, Marconi was born, and $5 to whoever can say his name correctly. Anybody?
Guillermo.
That would be wrong.
Guillermo.
Guillermo. His name was Gary
Guillermo.
Marconi.
The L is silent.
Gary, all the G, the L, the I, E, and the L, Morrow, all that means Gary Marconi. There was also a Gary Marconi born in Baltimore, 1984. Scotty's here to tell us about what's going on with regard to events. Scotty, what do you see?
All right.
And I mentioned we had several weeks off, and the
I
first
think
live
that Mark just threw him with
the
the horse and
ring.
buggies over at
All
Brown's.
of a sudden, Gary Marconi's like blasting in my headphones. Like, where the hell is that coming from?
Gary Marconi, welcome to the show.
All right, what's going on? Events. We got events happening next weekend.
It's all
April
lies,
29th.
guys. It's all lies.
It's been Gary the whole time.
Jesus.
April 29th and 30th, the 1010 International Spring Contest. The digital version of their contest is happening. That'll be fun, especially with 10 meters happening these days. What else is happening next week on April 29th and 30th? The Florida QSO party is going on. So,
Nice.
yeah. Get some, you're at several North Florida, Central Florida, South Floridas. What else is happening? Special events. April 14th through the 29th, it's the Whiskey for Moonshine special events. Whiskey for
Moonshine? Did you say
There's
moonshine?
Whiskey for Moonshine. So
Yeah,
W4M is called.
Woo!
Boone's Mill, Virginia. Having a whiskey special event station throughout the week. Also, what's happening? We have the anniversary of the birth of radio astronomy special event station, W9GFZ. At the I think it's at the National. There's a radio astronomy place in Virginia. I can't forget the exactly where, but they'll be doing a special event station from there, celebrating the birth of the radio astronomy field of studies, all happening next week. And some other things going on. You can check it out on the events channel on our Discord server. Back
Very
to you,
good.
Gary.
Thank you very much. Gary Marconi, our new correspondent. He's a deep relative of Marconi. We just call him Gary. Yeah. Our thanks to PowerFilm Solar and Gigaparts. They're providing quality solar power solutions for your portable operating needs. To explore PowerFilm Solar's selection of quality products, visit gigaparts.com and search 100 watts. So that's an easy way for you guys to help the show. It's free to you. What these guys want to do is see engagement. If you bought something, great. But what they're doing is they're testing the waters to see if 100 watts in a wire community members will actually hear this and go to the website and click on it. And the first steps to seeing any engagement are those clicks. So that's an easy way to open a browser right now and do it if you don't mind. And then they'll go, oh, yeah, it seems to be getting a little bit of action over there. We'll give you some more dough. Or not enough. Usually in my case, it's like, not enough. And I remember having this conversation. Oh, Rex posted something on Twitter about, was it QSO Today lost ICOM pulled out of their podcast or something? Did you guys read that?
No.
Yeah, man, that's unfortunate because he's such a nice guy. He does like these oral histories. I still owe him time to sit and do it. Hopefully we'll do one here soon. But, Eric Goose, right? Eric has been on our show before, and I don't know the story. Maybe I can connect with Eric and find out, but I don't know why ICOM left that show. That's like the least controversial show possible. It's of all the stuff being made out there, he's creating basically an oral history of all these people. Part of my reason is like, I don't know, man, you don't really want to talk to me. He's talking to these guys that create really interesting things and big electronics, and I've been like, I don't know, man, are you sure about that? But he's documenting, hams that have contributed to the hobby, and I think what he does is great, and it's unfortunate. I don't know the whole story, but apparently ICOM has decided to pull the funding from that, and that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
Anyway, I heard it. I only know part of the story, but if it means that ICOM left, I'm interested in why. It's their prerogative to leave. Our show left ICOM a couple of years back. I was just feeling like, I wasn't feeling that supported. I appreciated the effort. They were given a certain amount of money each month to put across the shows. That's how it works. And if they don't see the engagement, they may not feel that money's worth it. But one of the smart things I think ICOM was doing was they were all over everything. They put their money all over. They were the only people advertising on across all of these platforms. And the team Yaesu didn't want to do that. Like Yaesu, I didn't understand why they won't do it. Or Kenwood, right. Or Flex, or what are some of the other ones? They didn't do it. ICOM, I thought, was taking a smart business stance, at least, to get themselves spread across all of these different shows. It's just that some of our shows probably weren't seeing as much love as others. And for us, I was like, thanks. But we moved on. But Eric,
it almost sounds to me that it was just a business decision, probably, that was, came down from Tokyo, and they're they probably have a little smaller pot of advertising dollars to work with, so they're making the hard choice.
I get it. It is tough times, and it's hard. That's why for us, I think it's important to be community supported. And it's great when you can get these, this comes contingent. I love PowerFilm. I own their stuff. And Gigaparts is a great store to go and buy different things from. I love the options, and I'm super happy and proud that they're confident in us during like Q1 or whatever it'll do. And hopefully they'll see the engagement. And nobody's getting rich, but it helps pay the bills, and it's great. But it's always been important to me that we are community supported for when that dries up. They'll get, I don't know. We're going to try Ham Jabronis. They seem to have a lot of good guys over there. And we're going to do that now. And they'll move away, and you're like, okay, bye, thanks. So being community supported is a big bonus for our community. And so if you have value, or you find value in the 100 Watts and Wire community, you can support the content and the community you enjoy by visiting buymeacoffee.com, like that transition, /100 Watts. This structure I like a lot because you can give or not give. It doesn't matter. You can choose to give all at once. You could set up a monthly contribution. We came up with a dipole level, which is $1 per episode, $4 a month generally. And there's some benefits to that. And it's actually cheaper than a real cup of coffee if you go up to Steve's Starbucks. I think Steve might.
Oh my
goodness, a coffee there. Do you want cream? How much is cream? $2.50. No, don't want cream. No, sir.
At least come with a spork.
You get a spork in there. That's going to be another $2.50. So
That's the REI version.
REI.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
REI around here closed. I was
Did it?
sad. I used to buy a bunch of stuff from them. Yeah. I mean, maybe they just moved. I don't know, but they're not around that I see anymore. At least not in this area.
Thank you to Dave Gooder, who has been with us since the beginning. He remembers when we first got kicking, and he couldn't believe we had reached 400. And 400 came without much fanfare because, as I mentioned before, my buddy passed away. I was like, oh, man, it's just let me go ahead and do a quick little thing here. Waka waka. But thanks to Dave. Visit buymeacoffee.com/100watts. If it works for you, great. Advertising can become fickle. Sponsorships can come and go, but our community, they can help support. All right. So, Scotty, what have you been up to in the time between? I don't think we got to properly see what you were doing. You've been mapping out remote situations up in trees, 40, 65 feet. What are you working on?
Well, yeah, the remote thing is I haven't really sunk a whole lot of time into yet. I just kind of acquired the main components, that one being a decent antenna to put up in the tree and the radio to hook up to it. So now comes the fun part of trying to figure out how to control it all in. I'll need to figure out how to whether to use I need to get some power strips that I can control over the internet. I've been hearing about this Node-RED, which is a sort of a visual programming language that IBM developed. It's becoming real popular for the Internet of Things world. So maybe thinking about exploring that. I don't know much about any of that stuff yet, so I'm kind of excited to jump into this rabbit hole blind with my spork and with my Swiss Army knife with the spork on the side.
I wish I had it here. It's actually in that bag right over there. I will produce a spork sometime today.
Actually, my camp kitchen tote is sitting right here to the right, and I'm sure that I have several sporks in there.
I got a spork.
They probably smell a little funky. They need a good scrubbing from the last trip, which has been a while. Not much. haven't really been on the radio too much, but I've been kind of collecting some test equipment. So now in my new role back at the studio, working in the tech shop, helping fix stuff. I've kind of my things that I'm buying are kind of more test related now. So instead of buying something radio related, I'm on eBay scouring for like old HP function generators and. So I'm kind of want to add some cool pieces to my workbench, my electrical workbench at work and at home. So I picked up an oscilloscope and shopping for a few other things to kind of flesh that out. And I want to start making some guitar overdrive pedals and I'm going to get into that sort of stuff. I want to get heavy into tinkering with electronics, which I haven't really given myself time to do. So that's kind of what I've been, where my mind's been the last few weeks since our last gathering here on the YouTubes.
Has anyone noticed that he's like, not too much, just and test equipment and okay, not much at all, man, not much at all. I hope you pick up soon. I'll get busy soon.
Yeah, I hope so. These are all things that are in the brain Rolodex. Nothing that's taking any much live action yet, but we'll see how it goes.
We're going to talk about Hamfest in a minute. We have a special event coming up. It's an operating event called the 100 Watts and a Wire Spring Tune-Up. It happens the second week of June. We also have a Fallout second week of October, but I did a dry run through this week, Steve, and it's so exciting. I hope we can do something like we did when we found out that Uncle Paul had these huge Gordos and would just drop them.
I was just thinking of that.
I mean, he doesn't care. That's the kind of guy that doesn't care.
Just stomped on us.
My grandfather was like that. Like he didn't care. Like he would be wherever he wanted to be, and he would just tell you whatever he had to tell you. And if he had to drop his Gordos right on your head, so be it. And during the last tune-up, Steve and I were live streaming with about as much success as we've had here tonight, with the glitch and the drop off and the start over and try again, fool. But anyway, Steve and I were going around, and people were contributing to, like, there's a station calling a tune-up on such and such frequency, and Steve and I would go to it. Both of us running 100 watts. We're both out portable in the field. It's getting dark. We're hanging out, and I'm in on my 100-watt rig. Steve's in there somewhere. Thank you. Bye-bye. Steve doing his thing. And then all of a sudden you were calling and calling. We're going to get him. We're going to get him. And on the live stream, we're like, we're going to get him. We're going to get him. We're getting close. Keep calling, Steve. Whiskey 7 United Doctor. Kilo 0. All of a sudden you hear, oh, somebody's on. November 2, Hotel Yankee Golf. Like, oh, and they pick him up right like that. And it's just like, I got one for you, Steve. Bloop. One for you, Christian. Bloop. Enjoy the cinema nuts. But I'm getting in first. Deal with it. Thanks for the tip.
These are no beaver nuts or anything like that. These are
these are like hurt your neck.
These are the Gordos from the East Coast. We got stomped. Just,
so wherever we would go, Paul would go, and he would go with 1,400, 1,200 watts while we're out there trying to call, and he didn't care. He's like, I'll try it. November 2, Hotel Yankee Golf. And we're screaming from the woods with nuts on our face. Like my neck hurts, Steve. My neck hurts. And you're just there so long, you're just like, let me just get a little taste. This is pickled?
It's pickled.
This is pickled, I think.
Tennessee too.
Good Lord.
They were sweaty.
So the tune-up is one fun time. Let's see.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Even though we got stomped on, it was still a blast to set up and just get out there and operate. I had a lot of fun, and we still having fun with it to this day. So come and join.
Wow, look at this.
It's
a super chat. Edham, how about that? Thank you, $5 for super chat. We haven't had any. We had like one time a long time ago. I guess you gotta talk about Paul and what he does to you when you're I can imagine in a contest, he's just like, I wore these flexible trousers. I think I'm going to make a couple calls. Bloop. So, we go 100 watts. You can, any band, any mode, anytime, just call CQ Tune-Up if you want to, and post up on our social media, Discord, Facebook. It's all good. Spot yourself. I don't care. It's not a contest. It's just an operating event. And we'll have some stations. You're looking or listening to 3 of them at least, and we'll get on that weekend at some point, hopefully together, and we'll do a little bit of a chase. You can be in your own shack if you want, run power if you want. The thing I like about it is it's the portable aspect. I'm just far enough away from everything I need to make it a bit of a hassle to go back or a long walk. I'm not out in a park. I'm at home. But being able to set up, have your gear, have whatever you need, get it up and have it working, have your power source sorted out. It's kind of a thrill, and we enjoy doing it. So hopefully if you're listening to this or watching this, anybody can do it whenever. And Steve, what are some of the rigs you're thinking about? I know Field Day comes up. It's right on the heels. Tune-Up was created as a way to sort of get your own system out there. Get your own rig, get your own antenna, maybe something you've been trying to test because your radio club, if you're working with them, you may be assigned a certain role. And Steve, what do you have you thought about it? I know we still have some time, but we wanted to start talking about it early. What do you like?
Probably end up using the 1000 again, like I did last time, because it's just simpler. Just drag an extension cord out, and it already has a built-in power supply. And I'm just going to concentrate on some couple different antennas, and we got the vulnerable double bazooka, and maybe build a couple off-center fed dipoles, and maybe a dipole or two here, different bands. I do want to try 17 meters. I haven't been on that band, so I figure I'll slap together at least a double bazooka or just a basic dipole for 17 meters and try to operate there. And just maybe if I get enough, if I remember and I ordered it in time, maybe an infed and delve into that arena too, where a lot of people are in, and just and who knows, maybe a vertical. I don't know. See
Ooh.
what happens. What?
There was a
So,
question about your double bazooka on the double bazooka video. I looked, and I think it was yesterday, and they asked actually instead of an inverted V, and I've never seen like a horizontal V, where the ends, the elements would be up higher than the center point, actually
oh,
shaping
like a
real
droop,
V.
like a U or something like that. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I'll let them
yeah,
know
that
that
should
that
be.
would be okay. Mine are inverted, but I didn't know. I figured it would be. I don't know what sort of pattern it would produce, but I guess it would be closer to almost a flat top. But if you had to droop it down in a V shape, an actual V shape, I guess it's okay.
It would. I would think it would operate the same as being inverted. So,
Okay.
but yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Sidecar's vertical antenna is going to be a vertical double bazooka
Yeah.
Yeah,
with the
maybe
P point
try
going
that.
up the side.
We got a couple of questions I want to get to. There's been one coming from the chat. If you have a question and you're with us tonight, put a Q in front of it, and we will try to answer it. Oh, one got away. It was in our last stream. This one got broken, but hopefully Ricardo's can come
Oh, I
back.
remember what. I remember.
Oh,
the
you remember?
question.
Cool. We'll
I'll
get to
I'll
that.
type it up.
All right, let's see what Hamfest are going on. Scotty's here with the report.
All right, Hamfest coming up. What do we got here? April 28th and 29th, New England Amateur Radio Festival, the Near Fest. I believe this is Near Fest 33, happening in Deerfield, New Hampshire. April 29th, in York. Well, not in York, but it's the York Hamfest in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania. I might. That's not too far up the road from my brother's. I might have to sneak up, perhaps. And a few other Ham Fests happening. I have things listed on the events channel on our Discord server.
Right
Back
on.
to you, Gary.
Right on. Gary Marconi here with a live report. If you're looking for a power solution, check out Bioenno Power, offering the best lithium phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Visit bioennopower.com. That's BIOENNO power.com. Gary Marconi back to the studio. All right, this is the time of the show where we like to take some questions, and it's been a minute. There have been people waiting patiently. Question like, I went through his whole GD Hawaiian vacation. I hope he got laid. Peace and love. Let's take a couple questions here. This one might need a little more explanation, but the question is, how do I properly use an antenna analyzer? Steve might need a little more time for this and some props.
Well, first place, you want to get your antenna in its final position, wherever it's going to be, at 30, 40, 50, whatever position your antenna is going to be. And you just then you're just going to hook your antenna analyzer up to the end of your coax, before it goes into the radio, and then you'll either sweep across the band that your antenna is tuned for, or just sweep all of the whole HF band, and then you'll get to see the where the dips are, if it's like the old MFJ style, or if it has a graphical interface or display, you can see where graphically how it will come out. This might be a good thing, or do a little video on the basics of various antenna analyzers. If there's interest, we could probably slap something together as far as hooking it up and then try to interpolate what you are seeing, and if your reading is low on the high end or low on the low end, what does that mean? And we could probably do something like that, but it's just to utilize the antenna, make sure no one else is transmitting around. If you're trying to use an antenna analyzer in a field day setup, make sure no one else is transmitting within the HF band or VHF band, wherever you're utilizing the antenna analyzer, because that will have an effect. Essentially what it does, it just sends out a little bit of a small signal, like 10 milliwatts or whatever, and then it's looking at the reflected power coming back as it's sweeping across the band or as you're tuning it across the band. So pretty basic, simple device, but just be aware of your operating conditions wherever you're doing the analyzing.
If you'd like to see a short video on how to use and operate the basics of an antenna analyzer, please put yes right now in the chat. And you can let us know if you're listening to this down the road. But for our friends who are here with us, put a yes in the chat, and we'd like to know. Go ahead,
Or
Steve.
join us in the Discord group and ask questions.
Yes.
Very good. If you'd like to see that, yes in the chat. Next question. Do I need to connect my computer to my radio to do digital modes? This might be one for the East Coast contingent. I don't know.
Not necessarily. It's a lot of the digital modes is just it's just passing audio back and forth between the software on the computer, and the audio in and out of the rig. There's a lot of folks that run digital modes where they have just like a standard audio interface, like a little USB audio interface, or even if on an older laptop where it has the mic input and the headphone output on those little 3.5 millimeter connectors. And feeding audio in and out of the radio at audio level, mic in or line in on your radio if it has it, and then headphone out back to the radio, and then using say like Vox setting on your radio so that when you have your computer, you could get it to generate whatever signal it's going to make for the mode you're working, and it sends it as an audio signal into the mic input of the rig, and the rig's set to transmit when it has audio coming in on its mic input, and it kicks in and passes that signal over the air, and then the output when you're with the contacts that you're working, the signal they're sending back going back into the computer just as audio, and then it's being decoded by the software you're running on your computer. So you don't necessarily have to have your computer connected as far as like USB and that sort of thing. Now it does get a little bit more complicated when you get computer controlled transmit happening, you get cat control happening, and things can get a little more involved. But and even some modern rigs, like I know my FT DX3000 will do RTTY just in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even have to turn the computer on. So it depends on the mode. But at the very basic level, the computer needs to be hooked up to the radio with just audio in and out with your headphone and mic jacks on both your computer and the rig. So.
Steve, anything to add?
Yeah, exactly. There are radios out there that have some built-in digital modes like RTTY, and I wouldn't be surprised within the next 5 years, and I'm going to go out on a limb on this one, that you're going to start seeing ICOM and probably Yaesu that are going to incorporate FT8 in their radios in the next line. So all you have to do is hook a keyboard up to your radio, plug it into a USB port on the back, and hook up your HDMI or DVI connector to a monitor, and you'll have FT8 right in the radio. It'll be truly a shack in a box, so you won't have to have to do any of the audio interfacing or the software. It's going to be incorporated into the radio, is my prediction. I'd say in the next 5 years or so. But as Scotty pointed out, it's exactly just like that.
FT8 really saved the day for the Bouvet DXpedition. I mean, they really did get a lot of contacts that way. So yeah, I agree. Ricardo is asking for antenna recommendations to maximize his QSOs, his contacts, during the Florida QSO party.
I would look at something more on NVIS, so antennas that are going to be on the lower side, not as high. verticals will turn around and will get you out of the state, but think of a low mounted dipole or something like that to maximize your local contacts, within Florida. Unless you want to start making contacts all around the states, but like most QSO parties, you want to work all the counties in your state, and so you want to kind of have an antenna system that's going to maximize local coverage. So you're not going to want an antenna at 100 feet or anything like that. You're going to be having it down around 25, 10, 15 feet, somewhere around there. Kind of start thinking in that realm there, Ricardo.
All right, I hope that helps. Okay, let's go to another. We've got a little bit of time here. Let's see. Next question: does a tube radio sound better than a solid state radio? Ooh.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes. It when you hear a tube radio on the air, it is different. It's smooth. It's just kind of really. It's like a good bourbon or a scotch. It's really
full. It's robust. It's there's hands down. They sound way richer, warmer, fuller. It's great.
And they'll be off frequency most of the time.
There's that too.
But when you kind of just use your clarifier, whatever your
I don't know what you're talking about, Steve.
Yeah. But once you got them dialed in, all those tube radios just sound smooth.
It's like tube microphones too, baby.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and tube amplifiers.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
The circuitry is different. And with tubes, you usually have to have transformers, and transformers and tubes and audio is a nice cuddly, you cuddle up for your tuggy with that setup there.
Good follow-up question. Does a tube microphone, radio, and amplifier make it move? Do you feel it move? Did it move? Does it? It does for me. That's a yes. I felt it move. I felt it move. If you have a question, put a Q in front of it. We'll try to get a hold of it. And good point there about the huggies, the tuggies. The tuggies are. You definitely got to hold on loosely when we're getting a tuggy. It's Scotty's turn. So if you're signing up for the 100 watts and a wire tuggy, it's in the gift shop. Scotty's month to service those accounts. But hold on loosely, Scotty. But don't let it go.
Tuggies are right next to the gummies, so just don't get them mixed up.
Hold on loose.
Hold on loosely, but don't let it go.
Woo!
Ooh, lordy. Let's see if we can get another one in here as we got the time. Should I create a tower maintenance schedule? This one for the big fella.
Yes. Yep. It's always good to in the springtime is go ahead and if you have a tower up, inspect it. Even if it's a guide tower, make sure your guy anchors are intact and the tension is proper, and then do a visual inspection. Usually we'll like at work we'll get out a set of binoculars and we'll start eyeballing the tower. If you have a drone or something like that, another fine way to just fly your tower and kind of do a visual inspection. And then if you're confident enough that okay, we're in good shape, you climb it and then check everything on the tower. In fact, that's kind of what's coming up for me is do my annual climb the tower and inspect everything and make sure nothing is really degraded from the winter. So it is a good plan, dude, and make sure all your connections are tight and they're all sealed up. And as you're coming down, inspect your coax, because if there was lightning nearby, you could have a little pinhole through the outer jacket, and that could be a place for water to get into your coax and wreak havoc. And that's the last thing you want to do. I was pricing out coax the other day from just DX Engineering, just RG213, $185 a foot.
Oh dear.
It is nuts. A 500-foot roll of RG213 is $700.
Oh
man.
Lord, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So the cost of coax has gone stupid, and like everything else. So it be mindful of your cable and everything, and take care of it, and seal up your connectors properly.
All right, there you go. Thank you for that question. We appreciate that. If you have a question, you can drop me an email, or you can put it on our social. Discord's a good place for things like that. We have a Facebook group. And all of the things, you can go to 100wattsandawire.com to learn more, get your 100-watt ID, listen to past episodes, go in the shop and order your Tuggy this month's special, Scotty. Oh,
Whoa, where'd that sound effect come from?
but it came in hot. It came in hot, which reminds me, contact Scotty for your 100 watts and a wire Tuggy. It's his month. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out how it goes. But anyway, there you go. Can you believe that we have come to the end of another episode 401? And holy moly, it's fun to be back live. We're going to go do a Sunday evening net. We'll do a little live coverage for our friends here, unless we get tossed off again. Pardon the pun, Scotty.
Good Lord. What the hell's going on around here?
Hold on loosely.
But don't let it go, Scotty. There is some money involved.
Great googly moogly.
So serve us well, Jedi. Well, we want to know what you're struggling with. Scott, you could tell Scotty while you're visiting, but tell us what you're struggling with. We want to know what's going on with you, and we can help solve any issues you may be having with your ham radio stuff. 7 o'clock now. We're going to leave it to you and head over to do live coverage. Thank you very much, fellas. Good to see you again. We will catch you in the post show. 73, everybody.
7-3, guys.
Good to see you. 7-3.
To join the 100 Watts and a Wire community, visit 100wattsandawire.com.